Hello and welcome to today's video where I'll show you how to connect guitar effect pedals to your amp. Before we start, a little disclaimer here. When I talk about guitar effects pedals, I typically mean gain-based pedals. So, for instance, overdrive pedals like the Boss SD1, like the Ibanez Tube Screamer, or distortion pedals like the Boss Metal Zone, the MXR Full Bore, and of course like the Boss HM2. And last not least, EQ pedals because they boost certain frequencies, so they are kind of gain pedals. For in this instance, the Lichtlärm amp Spyglass. So at first, let's have a look at all the different TR jacks on your amplifier. I've chosen to show you my PRS MT15, but I think this is appropriate for almost every other amp, either be it a full tube or a solid state amp. So first of all, we have an input control. That's where you plug in your guitar. On most amps, you also have an FX loop. It's divided into send and return. And then we have some speaker jacks. Some amps have multiple speaker jacks, some have just one. That's where you connect your cab. And some amps also have some foot switch jacks. Those are only foot switches, and therefore you don't need to connect a pedal to this jack. And you also shouldn't connect a pedal to this jack because the output that goes out of this jack is way too high for any guitar FX pedal. And if you would connect it, you would fry it. And this is only suitable for cabinets. So you basically have three options to connect your pedals to a guitar amplifier. The first option is to connect it to the input. This means you have your FX pedal, for instance this Boss, and here you connect your guitar in the input, and from the output you go into the input of the amp. That's it. Connecting your guitar pedal to the input of your amp is basically the most versatile way to do it. You can basically use every style pedal, overdrive, distortion, EQ, doesn't matter. And the outcome highly depends on the channel you're choosing on your amp. If you're using a clean channel, the pedal basically shapes your distortion sound. And it's the main part of your distortion tone. You can dial it in and then you can adjust it with the EQ section or the gain section of your clean channel. When you use the lead channel or a channel with more distortion, you basically just shape the tone of your guitar that will be distorted. The most common way to do it is to use an overdrive pedal like the Tube Screamer or the Boss Super Overdrive, and to dial in as little gain as possible, as much level as possible, and then you play around with the EQ controls if you have any, to basically cut some low end to get the guitar well tighter, or to make it more aggressive if you boost the upper mids. And that's basically what I do with the Boss HM2. I use it as an overdrive pedal with very little gain, and then I want this nice EQ curve to be amplified by the amp's gain stage. The second option is to connect your effect pedal to the FX loop. And we're using both jacks for this purpose. So put our FX loop, and from the send, which sends the signal we go to the input on our guitar pedal, and from the output of our guitar pedal we go into the return. The most common pedal to connect to your FX loop is an EQ pedal. You basically do all the tone shaping with your amp setting, and then you could have some really powerful EQ sections in the FX loop where you can basically add more low end without sounding flabby, add more high end, reduce the mids. It's basically you shape the basic sound and then you can drastically alter it in the FX loop. Some people also connect distortion pedals to the FX loop. However, in my experience, most of the time it doesn't sound this good, because then you basically do the same as if you connect a pedal to the input, just vice versa. And now the pedal acts as your main distortion unit, and the actual preamp of your amp acts as a tone shaping tool. And I haven't really tried this out with this many pedals. I just briefly connected a tube screamer to it and I really didn't like the tone at all. However, some pedals might work, and feel free to experiment. You just have to be careful with the level of your distortion pedal or your overdrive pedal, because you can easily have way too much level and it's really loud, and then your ears start to bleed. The third option is to just use the FX return. This means that we have our effect pedal, and on the input we connect our guitar, and on the output we connect to the FX return. When you just connect a pedal to the FX return, you define the preamp section, so you don't use it at all. You just use the power amp section, and most of the time it's just for making your pedal loud. But lots of amps, or the majority of amps, also have some controls that work specifically on the power amp, for instance the presence and the resonance. The other knobs, bass, middle, treble, gain, etc., don't work because they're designed to work with the preamp. And you can use this with particular distortion pedals that are designed to be used as a preamp. So you're basically using an external preamp. The Metal Zone, for instance, is a pedal that has to be used in the FX return, because in front of the amp it's really harsh. Majority of distortion pedals don't sound this good when used as a preamp, and that's due to the fact that they are too dark. At least that's my experience. So all the pedals that don't belong in the FX return have too few highs, and when you don't have a presence control, that's not good. So that was my tutorial or explanation on how to connect gain, boost, EQ pedals, distortion pedals to your amplifier. I made this video because some of you suggested that I should do such a video, and let me know down in the comments if this helps. This is clearly a beginner's video. If you're a pro, you most probably already knew what I told you, but anyways, let me know down in the comments what you think about this video, and if you want to see me do other beginners videos. And if you want to support this channel, check out the links in the description. Well, and with this said, thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, may the force be with you, and have a nice day.